Hello and welcome to the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Our guest today is Dr. Gybrilla Blakes, and she is the author of the book, Give Your Parents a Standing Ovation. And I'm going to give you a standing ovation for all of the work you've done when it comes to the elderly and mental health.
Thank you so much.
And that's what this book is about. You're dealing with the elderly and mental health situations and dementia, Alzheimer's, all of those diseases that are related to that. Let's start off by talking about your story.
Oh, let me, first of all, thank you so much, Stephanie, for having me on. I'm very grateful to be here, to be able to talk about my story. But let me tell you this is how my journey started. I was a caregiver for my mom and my dad. It started years ago, actually. I was probably a teenager when I started really being a caregiver. And you know, as most caregivers, you really don't realize you are a caregiver. But as my parents got older, I became their sole caregiver. Now, I'm one of 12. So I'm sitting here, but I'm one of 12, same mother and father. I'm the youngest daughter of the 12. But my parents, for some reason, because I was the youngest daughter, and I'm number 10. So I have two younger brothers, so I'm way down the chain there. But my parents, for some reason, they relied on me a lot as a child, as a teenager, and then, of course, as they got older, I became their caregivers. As my dad, he began to show signs of aging, I began to do a little more for them as a caregiver. And as my dad got older, you know, he was in his 70s, he really relied on me for a lot of different things, and you know, writing checks for them. My dad had his own business, so I was doing a lot of stuff in the business, a lot of stuff. So my dad got ill, and my dad passed. They lived in South Carolina. During that time, I was here in the metropolitan area, working in the Pentagon. Every Friday, I would leave my job right around about 3, and I would get on 95, and I would go to South Carolina absolutely every Friday. And I would come back on Sunday. So I was their caregiver. They were in South Carolina. I was a long-distance caregiver, so I was doing that for a while there after my dad got really ill. I was doing it even before he got ill, but more so after he got ill. My dad passed. Once my dad passed, my mom came to, I'm in Bowie. My mom came to live with me in Bowie. And she lived with me right around almost 2 years after my dad passed. They had been married for over 69 years. So she actually died. She had a touch of dementia. She had the early stages of dementia, and she died, we believe, from a heartbreak because they said natural causes. But
how many years did she live after?
2 years. 2 years after my dad, my mom passed.
What was it like for you as a caregiver?
Oh my goodness, it was very challenging, but it was also rewarding. I was very grateful to be able to give back to my parents. I was a type of kid, I always wanted to be around the elderly folks just to hear the wisdom and just to be supportive for them. I've always gone to the store for the neighbors, the older neighbors, the older family members. I've always been like a person, like a shoulder or whatever for them, or I drive them around to maybe appointments or something like that. So yeah, it was challenging. It was very challenging, and the reason why I really wrote the book was because at the time when I was a caregiver, I had no idea that there were so many resources out there.
Also, what role did your siblings play in this? Did you have siblings who were supportive, or you had some who were and some who weren't? Did you have a support system for yourself?
They were supportive, but let me tell you, I was so happy and grateful to be able to help my parents. I didn't even look for my brothers and sisters to do anything, to be honest with you.
As you look back, should you have demanded more?
Absolutely. You never should be a caregiver when you have that many resources out there, not tap into it. You should never take that on alone. I did it, and I was successful, but I paid for it in the end, and I'll tell you about that in a few minutes.
What resources are available to people? I know my family is going through, that's why I wanted you on so badly.
Absolutely.
My family is going through that right now. My parents live in New Jersey. 4 of us are away from home. 3 of the siblings, because there's 7 of us children, 3 of them are in New Jersey. My sister, who's a retired nurse, is the caregiver. And I wish there was more I could do, but I'm far away. And so it's hard. And so it's like she's walking around with the weight of the world on her. What resources are available for caregivers?
There are so many resources available for caregivers. For one, there's a lot of support groups out there. So your sister can actually get involved in support groups. There are also respites. I'm sure you're familiar with respites. There are organizations that provide respites either free or for very little, where your sister will get an opportunity to have some time for herself, which she very much need.
Yes.
Also, because there's 7 of you guys, every now and then, someone should go there and relieve her. Let her go to just maybe go to a movie, go shopping, or just sit in a park, or just do something for herself. Every now and then, someone should go there and relieve her and let her have some free time.
According to statistics, a lot of times the caregiver can get sick and pass away before the people they were caring for.
Absolutely. And especially, I don't know if your sister is over 65 or not.
Yes.
But anytime, any caregiver, there's a lot of stress, as we know. But when you're over 65, it's even harder on you, and the death rate is higher. Because of all the stress that you're undergoing, you forget about yourself. Here again is why I wrote my book. My the chapter 6 in my book talks about caring for yourself. Making sure you don't forget about yourself, because as caregivers, I did it. Of course, I was much younger than that, 65, but I did it, and it was stressful for me. It didn't affect my health, but it affected my social life. And then once my mom passed, I was looking around wondering what's next. I didn't know what to do. I had pretty much, I wasn't involved in a lot of stuff. I was only caring for my mom and being with my mom because I was feeling guilty, as most caregivers do. The minute I got off work, and I was working full time. I was working on my PhD. I was working full time. I was a mom. I was a wife, husband. I had a husband. I was doing so many things, and I was teaching. I was teaching at night, and I was caring for my mom. So can you imagine the stress that I was going through? But I felt guilty. So every second I had, I spent it with my mom. So once I got off of work, the first thing I did, I would come home, either get my mom, and we'd go out and do something. She loved the water, so we'd go find some water. We'd go to the park. We'd go find some water somewhere. We'd sit down. Maybe we'll have a little something to eat, or we'll just sit there and pray, or just sit there and talk. So it was fantastic, but I removed myself from the rest of the world. So once she passed, I had to reconnect. So this is why I'm saying your sister need support from the other 6 brothers and sisters, siblings. And even if she doesn't ask for that, you guys should offer her some support.
What is the best way to find support, such as in-home people, nurses coming by, or people to help with those little things like doing the dishes, with helping a little bit of light housekeeping and things like that? How do you find those people without breaking the bank?
Excellent question. The first thing I would tell any caregiver that's looking for any kind of support, start with your Department of Aging. Start with your Department of Aging in your state. There's so many resources there. You would be amazed what kind of support system and resources your Department of Aging could give you. And let me tell you, there's tons of it there. Department of Aging, and also the AARP. AARP on their website is aarp.org. And you whatever state it is, so it'd be AARP, and they're in New Jersey.
Yes.
So it'd be aarp/newjersey.org, or newjersey@aarp.org, and go to their website, and there's so many resources there.
And let's go back a little bit to what caregivers should be doing for self-care.
Oh my goodness. Yes, for self-care. It's imperative that you take care of yourself as a caregiver. As we just said, most people who are caregivers oftentimes pass before the person they're caring for. And as you just said, your sister is really the sole caregiver for your mom, such as I was the sole caregiver for my parents. And now if she passed, who's gonna take care of the mom? Who's gonna take care of the person that you're caring for? So you have to take care of yourself. The things that you should be doing, if you don't meditate, you should try meditation. Definitely try to do some exercise. Even if it's just maybe an hour or, yeah, just walk. Just walk. If you swim, do something. But walk, you can go to the mall and walk if you don't want to walk in the community. Go to the mall, there's groups that walk in the malls. There's groups that walk in the park. Find some, as I said, support groups, or walk on your own. Do something, move. Take some kind of class if you can take it. I know you're saying, if I'm a caregiver, where am I going to find this time? You need to find the time. Here's where you need to tap into your resources for support. But if you don't take care of yourself, your health is possibly going to fail. And again, who's going to take care of the person you're caring for? And one other thing, make sure that you're getting your medical exams. Don't forget about getting your medical exams. Check in on yourself. Don't only take care of the person you're caring for. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well.
Also, nutrition-wise, you're making sure that your parents eat the right foods. Are you just grabbing something so you can take them to their next doctor's appointment? How is your nutrition?
Absolutely. That's excellent too, because what I did, because I knew that my mom had to have a very healthy meal for each of her meals, I ate with my mom. So whatever you're feeding the person that you're caring for, unless they're on a special diet, which my mom wasn't on a special diet, she just ate healthy, try to eat what you're feeding the person you're caring for. If you're doing that, then you will be healthy as well. Because you're taking care of yourself. As you said, you don't just grab something so you can just have something to eat and it's not healthy, because again, it could affect your health.
Now, you have taken this subject and you have really embraced it. You're part of several organizations that deal with this, and recently you wrote a play.
I did.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I'm a part of the Alzheimer's Association Prince George's County Walk to End Alzheimer's. I'm a part of that committee. I sit on the Mid-County Leadership for Dementia Friendly America. I'm also the executive council member for AARP in Prince George's County. And I'm out speaking at churches, at community centers. I'm almost everywhere where elderly folks are, elderly, but 50 plus people are, and also people who are caring for the elderly. So I'm out speaking on brain health. I'm talking about the Life Reimagined that we used to talk about, but I'm out talking about different things that caregivers can do to support themselves as well as the person that they're caring for.
What exactly is brain health?
Brain health is actually taking care of your brain, such as knowing that maybe you have the person that you're caring for yourself. You're having some memory problems. Going and get an examination to see if there's something going on there that needs to be tended to. Also, it talks about eating healthy again, eating healthy so that you can keep your brain working and functioning appropriately. It talks about dementia and Alzheimer's. It talks about the different signs of dementia and Alzheimer's. That's brain health. Also, the things that you can do: exercising, joining social groups, being active, staying active, maybe taking a class, maybe just out in the community, just staying connected, not sitting at home on a couch, staying connected.
Now, for those people who don't know, what is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia?
Well, the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia, Alzheimer's is actually a part of, dementia. Alzheimer's is a part of dementia. Dementia is actually, it's an effect that causes a person to lose their memory and their independence and so on and so forth. But dementia is normally called, if there's a cause for dementia. Sometimes dementia can be reversed. Alzheimer's, once a person has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, that person the end is death. There's no reversing of Alzheimer's right now. That's why we have the walk, the Alzheimer's walk, to end the Alzheimer's disease, because there's no cure for Alzheimer's.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the play. Is it a one-person play, or how is that? How is the play set up?
Okay, my play is on Alzheimer's and dementia. It's about a family going through the different stages of Alzheimer's. The matriarch, she has dementia, and she is going through the different stages. There's a family, there's 2 grandsons, there's a daughter, and there's a niece, and there's a cousin, and they're actually caregivers for the matriarch. And there's a church scene, a fantastic church scene. There's a party scene where the grandmother gets a little angry about realizing that she is losing her memory. We also have the scene where the grandson, who is very supportive, he takes the grandmother to all her doctor's appointments every 6 months. And we have several other scenes where you can see how her health is declining. But it's fantastic, and it's all about education and awareness for dementia and Alzheimer's.
What made you put all of this information, your history, your knowledge, what made you put that into a play, and what made you know that you could?
Let me tell you, it was all God, because I can't say I knew that I could, but I wrote the book for resources for a person that's going through the journey that I went through as a caregiver, so that their journey could be a lot easier than my journey was, because I had no idea there were resources out there. And so as I said, I was going around talking at churches, community centers, and libraries, and different places, just putting out awareness about caregiving and dementia and Alzheimer's. And then I realized that I was reaching hundreds of people, but I wanted to reach a lot more. So I said I needed a platform to do that. So I thought, okay, let me do a play. A play, you can get a lot of people, you can make it fun, it could be it's educational, you're putting out awareness, you can have people there like the Alzheimer's Association, Dementia Friendly America, and the AARP. You can have all those people there with booths, talking to people, giving out resources, and it's just all of that resources right there in one place, very quick, but putting out the knowledge that I was trying to get, that I'm trying to do with the dementia and Alzheimer's and caregiving. What
places have you done the plays? Where has the play been seen?
Okay, so far I did a play in September at Bowie, in Bowie. So far it's only been in Bowie, at the Bowie Center for Performing Arts. I did one in September, and I had 2 May 5th of this year. I had a 2 o'clock and a 7 o'clock.
And I'm sure you plan to do more.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're looking to go to Roanoke and Richmond next, and then we want to bring it back probably to Baltimore and maybe DC, and then we'll probably come back to Maryland again. But we're looking to go to Philadelphia. We got a lot of people that's asking us to come out and
very good,
and show our play.
Very good. Tell us more about the resources that are available for people. And in your book, that's the wonderful thing. You have resources where you can go, because a lot of people are in the dark. What do we do with this? We've got this situation. Where do we go? How do we find the help we need?
Okay, there's a lot of caregiving conferences. Again, online. The web is such of a wealth of information out there. So I would always say start with the web. Talk to your church, the Department of Aging in your state. So you could start with them, but there's so many. If you know other people who are caregivers, you definitely want to talk to those people. You don't want to try to bottleneck it and do it all on your own. Reach out to people. Don't feel like you're the only one in the world who has this situation. A lot of us feel that way when we're going through it. Don't feel that way. You'd be surprised. When I go out and I talk about caregiving and I talk about brain health and so on and so forth, there's always several people in the audience that come up to me and say, you know, before I came here to this conference or to this course, class, or what have you, I felt I was really on this journey alone. But look at how many other people who are going through it with me. And so I always ask, when you go to conferences, try to get other people's information, their telephone numbers, so that you can have someone to talk to. Because let me tell you, going through it alone is very, very challenging. You can do it, but why do it when there's so many other people out there that you can help and they can help you, because you guys can talk together and make it a lot easier.
The
on
thing
each
I
other.
always hear is the whole time thing. Well, I don't have time to go to some meeting. I don't have time for this, and I don't have time. You gotta make the time
Absolutely.
to do it.
And believe it or not, a lot of times the conferences for caregiving, there are resources for respite. So, or you can bring the person that you're caring for with you. I know that as time go on, especially if you're caring for a person with Alzheimer's or dementia, when they get to the later stages, it's their independence, and you're not able to bring them out in the public as much anymore. But as long as you can bring them out, because that's good for the person you're caring for as well. Not only yourself, but the person you're caring for. And a lot of times the conferences, they have respites right there where they have agencies that will take care of the person that you're caring for while you're there in the conference. So look for those kind of places too. So there's always ways of doing it. Don't say you don't have the time. Make the time, because it's better for you if you can.
What are some of the pitfalls? What are some of the things that you should avoid when you're dealing with a caregiving situation? Like, for example, if you're looking for people to help you care for, what should you hear all these horror stories. I'm a news person, so you hear all these horror stories about elder abuse.
Absolutely. There are agencies where if you are looking at caregiving outside of the home, as we know, over 770,000 caregivers are in Maryland, just caring for folks. So if that's the case, there's a lot of people out there that's caring for people in the home. So if you're looking for caregiving outside the home, then there are agencies that you can go to get the background and investigation information on the agencies that you're considering placing your care person, the person you're caring for.
And you have a background in that.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure you would just kind of automatically know what to look for. Most people don't.
Absolutely.
So, and you don't want to have a video in your home and then you look at it one day and you find out that mom and pops are being abused in some way, or they're not being cared for in the way they should be, the way these people, they deserve so much. The elderly, they deserve they've lived their lives, they've paid taxes, they've cared for their children, they've supported everyone, and then their time comes and there's no one to care for them, or they're locked in an abusive situation.
Absolutely. And another thing, if you are looking for a caregiver outside of the home, a place to put the person that you're caring for, make sure that you're very active in knowing how your family member or neighbor is being cared for. Be active, ask questions, look for signs. You can look, just as you did when you had the little toddler and you dropped them off at a nursery school. You look for signs, you ask questions, and if you saw something that didn't look right, you ask the questions. Don't see stuff and not ask the questions. But a lot of folks keep the parents, as I did, in the home. If you want to do that, then if you're bringing people into your home or their home, make sure you're doing the interviewing, make sure that you're getting reputable agencies to bring into your home, because a lot of times people come to your house and not only do they abuse the person that they're supposed to be caring for, they steal from you. So you have to make sure that you have a reputable, bonded agency. You just don't want to get a person off the street. And if you can get another family member, like you have 6 siblings, I had 11, if you can do that, that's even better. If you can have a family member come and assist you and give you help, that's even better, because you know the person that's coming in to the home.
And the name of the book, we're going to give your information during the credits. The end of the book, or the name of the book rather, is Give Your Parents a Standing Ovation for Caregivers of Elderly Parents. And if you were to give, what is your best advice? In the book, you have several tips for caregivers. What is your best advice for someone who is in the situation that you're in? You give actual lists. So
Let me tell you, my best advice that I give anybody caring for a person 50 plus is, if you're caring for your parent, remember that you are the child. They will always be your parent, regardless of whether they've lost their independence or not. For one, they already feel, they're feeling bad about having to have someone care for them anyway. So always remember, give them respect. Allow them to be as independent as possible, as long as they can be independent. Support, be more of a supportive crutch for them. Don't just take over and dictate to them. Give them options. As long as they're not hurting themselves, allow them to do things that, you know, normally you would say, don't do that. Allow them to be free. And remember that you are the child.
Dignity and
Absolutely.
respect.
Absolutely.
Because you can't just reverse the roles.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden they resent that.
Absolutely. Although you feel that the roles are reversed, now you're taking care of them. Remember, you are the child, and give them that respect. And I did that, so it's not hard to do. And I know a lot of parent and children, their relationships growing up as a kid in the home, it wasn't that great. But when you're placed as a caregiver, remember you're there for a reason. And it's because they need you to help them. So if you're going to take on that role, give them the respect.
How many years did it take you to kind of get back to after your mom passed, to kind of figure out where you were going?
It took me about 1.5 years to really get back to knowing that, okay, I don't have to not do all these things, because I had to make sure that I had a lot of my free time to be with my mom or with my dad. I had all these things I knew I had to do for them. I had to do the doctor's appointments and all these other things. It took me about 1.5 years before I really, realized that, I don't have to do that anymore. It took a while.
Well, I am so glad that you took the time after this was all over to write this book, and it's called Give Your Parents a Standing Ovation. We've been talking to Dr. Gybrilla Blakes. Here's the book, and we will give you the information during the credits of how you can reach her, how you can find out more about the play. Dr. Blakes, it's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
You've been watching the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Have a great day.